We almost had confirmation. We almost had confirmation of what we have known all along. But this time, it's not Uncle Casey saying it. This time, it's coming from someone who is directly associated with the WNBA dump. This time, it's coming from someone on the inside. I know this is going to be breaking news to this audience. We interrupt your regularly scheduled programming with breaking news. WNBA players are jealous. WNBA players do not like Caitlin Clark because she's white. Well, no shit. We've only been pointing this out on the main channel since last summer. Hell, we predicted this would happen to Caitlin Clark before she was fitted for her hard hat and steel-toed boots and entered the WNBA dump. It is no secret that WNBA dump divers and their pretend friends in the mainstream media do not like Caitlin Clark. It is no secret that they have no reason not to like her. Matter of fact, it should be the complete opposite. WNBA players should respect Caitlin Clark. At minimum, they should appreciate her. For the first time in history, people are actually watching pretend basketball. For the first time in history, WNBA players are flying on actual airplanes instead of riding the toy airplanes at Six Flags. For the first time in history, WNBA players are looking at the opportunity to make real money. And none of that happens without Caitlin Clark. Last year, WNBA games without Caitlin Clark, they only averaged 394,000 viewers. Now, the media likes to pretend that the WNBA is setting records and with ratings and attendance. This is amazing! America has fallen in love with pretend basketball. America has finally realized that these elite athletes are huge stars. If you look at attendance from last season, there was one team that was selling out. There was one team that drew crowds both at home and on the road, the Indiana Felines, who just so happen to have Caitlin Clark. Since last year, normal people have known that the jealousy, the resentment of Caitlin Clark was based on race. That was damn sure the case in the mainstream media, but we didn't have anyone associated with the WNBA that was willing to address it. Until now. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. If you happen to stumble upon this video, be sure to check out my main channel, Behind the Line. Link to the main channel's in the description below. Yesterday, Cheryl Miller, she was a guest on Up in Smoke or All in Smoke. Whatever the hell Matt Barnes' podcast is called that's kind of fallen off in the last few months. Judging by the title, you would think that this would be a podcast hosted by Bob Greiner. As you guys know, Bob Greiner always wants all the smoke. I didn't watch the full interview because the title of the video, it alluded to them talking about women playing in the NBA. I was not wasting my time listening to something that is never going to happen. You got a better chance of seeing dudes in the WNBA than you do of seeing women playing in the NBA. Who knows? That might already be the case. But anyway, the main part that caught my attention was their conversation about Caitlin Clark. Cheryl Miller explained why she relates to Caitlin Clark. Now, most women find Caitlin Clark relatable because she's like the girl next door, Midwestern girl from Iowa, seems to come from a good family. If Caitlin Clark wasn't a basketball player, she would probably be the cashier checking you out at the Piggly Wiggly in Des Moines. But that is not why Cheryl Miller relates to Caitlin Clark. Sherry relates to her because they have been through a similar struggle. Watch for yourself.
I can relate to that young lady, and I felt for her. I know what it's like to be hated. I know what it's like to be a black woman and hated because of my color.
Yeah.
I can't imagine this young lady, I don't want to use hate, but despised. She brought some on herself, a little bit, because She's cocky for a good reason. But to watch the dynamics and the media, they had their narrative. And I was pleased and proud to see the narrative wasn't the truth.
Right.
And Angel and her got along so well.
Obviously, Cheryl Miller is right, but the only thing I did not like about this, she only called out the media. Was the media partially responsible for the hatred of Caitlin Clark? Absolutely. But in some cases, the media was just reporting what they were seeing. This narrative didn't start with the media. This narrative started with WNBA players who seemed to be hesitant to accept Caitlin Clark. This narrative started with players who were jealous of Caitlin Clark. Now, the media, they damn sure added fuel to the flaming ass fire, but that's what the media does. Jamel Hill's son hosting. What's that lady's name at ESPN that got kicked off First Take? Monica McDougal, Elle Duncan. They definitely played a role, but the only reason the narrative had life is because WNBA players, they refused to disprove it. Either way, it was nice to see Cheryl Miller defending Caitlin Clark. It was nice to see Cheryl Miller point out the obvious. But she only gave us half the truth. She tried to claim that the media narrative was false because Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese were getting along during the All-Star game, which should be renamed the Caitlin Clark Invitational because there are no stars in the WNBA, much less All-Stars. But just because they got along during All-Star Weekend, that does not change the fact that there was jealousy. There was resentment throughout the season. Part of me understands why Cheryl Miller didn't want to take it that far. As an ambassador for the dump, she wants the game to be celebrated. She doesn't want to provide the spark for the flaming ass fire. But that does not mean that it was all on the media. But give me your thoughts on this. Cheryl Miller confirms that the hatred of Caitlin Clark was based on race. She blames the media, though, while absolving WNBA players for their part in it. Why? You tell me. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.